Hey, what's up? This is Sound Control. I just wanted to do a follow up video to touch on the concept of horizontal and vertical production. I don't think these concepts are new at all. I just had the thought, um, maybe someone didn't understand what I meant in uh, my last video where I kind of described why Electron is the gear that I'm using for hip hop in 2025. Um, and it lends to more of a horizontal style of production. I wanted to emphasize that's why I'm, leaning towards electron. Although I grew up, making music in a more vertical sense, right? Within Logic Pro, stacking sounds, stacking elements, stacking harmonies. I was so concerned about the chord progressions and how the elements work together versus the step by step behavior of a given note or a given MIDI data or whatever. So that's why I wanted to, kind of touch on what I actually meant, right? So again, that was vertical production. I think the horizontal production is like looking at a step sequencer and being able to assign parameters to a specific step. I think that is it's such a concept it's been around. It's not a new concept. It's just like me growing up listening to hip hop and um, aspiring to make hip hop. I just felt like I didn't hear a lot of um, horizontal style approach of production. I mean, it's definitely out there. Come on, even trap music, it does it to a sense, right? With the hi hats, you know, programming the hi hats to hit at different pitches, or even doing fancy tricks with the velocity to add, sort of realistic groove to the hi hat groove. So it's certainly the concept of horizontal production is certainly implemented um, in hip hop already. So it's not necessarily brand new. It's just I feel like these tools such as Electron Box, hence why I like using Electron and other sequencer based boxes. Uh, I like using them because the amount of control and the amount of focus on being able to affect parameters in at your will. Um, and not to say I didn't have the same capability in Logic Pro. Not to say you don't have the same capability in MPC One or MPCX or whatever. I just feel as if the Electron workflow is more tailored to this horizontal style and approach. Um, if I wanted to accomplish the same things in, let's say, Logic Pro that I do on these Electron boxes, I would need crazy computing power, crazy computing power. I currently have 16 gigs of RAM. I think that's just enough to run Omnisphere. A few instances of Omnisphere, Keyscape. I'm I've left it at that. I'm not gonna ask for more because I've seen this thing go. Like it. I've tried automating in the past essentially, and I've seen it just like no. It's like no, we're not doing that. So you need either crazy computing power or a machine that's dedicated to just making music and having that capability and RAM capability to just automate parameters. So that's kind of why I lean towards the Electron style of sequencing and parameter locks versus MPC, which again, I was producing on MPC. It has some of those capabilities. It still, you're able to automate. I'm not going to take that. I don't think I ever ran into any CPU issues with MPC, but I think with MPC, it was more of the user experience. The user interface didn't, at least for me, allow for accessible the accessibility to make such modifications per horizontally per parameter. I mean, it's definitely there's definitely a step sequencer. I'm not taking that away. It's very good. I just think for the amount of affecting I like to do with my music. I think I lean towards the electron style. And yes, going back to this concept of horizontal versus vertical production, I would say electron leans more to horizontal style. So therefore, lots of these boxes have a limit to the amount of voices. A limit. Lots of the boxes are monophonic. Lots of the boxes don't allow you to play, notes polyphonically, which is why I think that there's a case for the Tonverk. There's a case for the Digatone too, but like the Digatone is a little bit more tailored to FM, and if your ears aren't attuned to FM, it might just be it's like it's a hate or love type of thing with FM. Like either you like it or you don't. I think the Tonverk opens up uh, the electron workflow a lot more to give you the not only the horizontal but the verticality, like the vertical aspect of production. So you can stack and stack, especially with subtracks. Each subtrack, you have 8 tracks on the Tonverk. You can have 8 subtracks within one track. Theoretically, I guess you can have up to 64 monophonic tracks, or you can split that even down, because I'm never using 64 tracks. I might just have maybe 2 subtrack machines, and then I might have 6 or 7, no, maybe 5 or 6 polyphonic machines, or single machines, or whatever you call them, or multi-sample machines, but they're polyphonic. So not only are you getting the horizontal standard electron sequencer workflow, but you're getting a polyphonic capability that allows you to now affect that in the person. It's mind-boggling to me. So I think the Tonverk is very powerful. I think that it's very underrated. It could become a classic if they continue to build it up, add in more quality of life features, certainly sample slicing, all of that. I think there's a lot of potential there. And once again, MPC is amazing because it gives you both horizontal and vertical. I just think it's just not as tailored to a horizontal approach of production. So again, I think the Tonverk is that starting point. 256 steps, and a ton of polyphony. Well, maybe not a ton. I think it's a voice polyphony per. But I mean, bro, who needs to play 10 note chord? Most people aren't. Like I'm not. Like I'm usually playing like 6 to 8, 6 to 8, 6 to 9 chords. I like to play pretty nice dissonant chords. To add some of that soul. So I think, again, it's Tonverk. Don't sleep on it. I think the Tonverk might be the one, but hey, we'll see with time, right? And shout out to MPC once again. They already have like a step sequence. They already have horizontal capability. I just think the user interface is just not tailored to that style, and with Electron being tailored to the style of that very parameter lock approach, a lot of power, a lot of potentials, and the increased sequencer. I'm just gonna keep ranting, but hey, look, this was my rant on vertical versus horizontal style production. It's not a new concept. It's not a new idea. It's just I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. But yeah, let me know what you think. Peace.